Okay. There we go.
Hello, we are Geeks Assembled, and today I am joined by Susan and Kevin, and we are discussing a movie what has been postponed due to the COVID pandemic, and finally was released this year, 2022, of course. It's
Batman!
not that Batman, though, of course. It's the updated version starring Robert Pattinson, which I eventually got around to watching this weekend, and I was quite surprised. Just short of 3 hours long.
I know.
Wow. And that's how you do a superhero movie.
Yeah.
Thank God it was not an origin story. Yay, no origin story. That's what we don't want. So, without further ado, then we'll go to these fan people here and opening thoughts on the Batman. Who wants to go first? Oh, Susan's pointing that way, but to me, it's that way. So, Kevin.
I saw that cinemas in IMAX.
Ooh.
I had a good reason for it. In Delft, we always have people that usually don't shut up during a movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to have any kids, and usually in Rotterdam there's an IMAX theater. So not because the movie was shot in IMAX, but I was like, in IMAX people are quiet, and they were. So yeah, I really enjoyed this movie from start to finish. Sweaty hands all through the movie. It was so very exciting and very dark at times that I was like, is this not R-rated?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very good story. So I enjoyed the heck out of it. Can't wait for the sequel though.
Yeah, there is going to be one, but I think it's going to be 2 or 3 years off yet.
Yeah, that's for sure is.
Mm-hmm. Anything else before I go back to Susan?
I like the music though. So.
Yeah, the music was fine, wasn't it? Very reminiscent of the old Elfman soundtrack in places.
Definitely was.
Radio. We'll go to Susan. Susan.
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed this movie. But I do really like Robert Pattinson. I think that he's great. I think that he sounded so much like Edward Cullen, though. His voice, his American accent is pretty singular, and it really is only one American accent for him. He's I gotta pull this thing down because I can't speak the way I usually do. It's muffling me. Okay. The thing is that he doesn't really have a lot of different segments of the world American accent or segments of our country. He just sounds like he's from the far corner of the Northwest. He's very sibilant. He's very almost bright, where all of his sound is up at the top of his mouth. And I'm just geeking out a little bit because I know that there are a lot of people who do a lot of vocal training, and I was wondering, if when you see Gotham Square Garden, you know that this is supposed to be Madison Square Garden in New York. Gotham is supposed to be like an avatar of New York City, and if you're gonna sound like you're from New York, you're gonna have to sound like you're from New York. You got to have your accent right? And I mean, really, I know, right? It's like it's not the same kind of accent as a New Yorker would have.
I'm surprised he hasn't got a Glaswegian accent or a Liverpudlian accent, because that's where it was mainly filmed.
Oh yeah. Well, true. I have a friend I have an acquaintance who was at one of the shootings, and due to his presence there, one of the motorcycles had a crash, and I just think that was really something crazy. but we can talk about that later. And I thought that that person would show up today,
Well,
because we were talking about the movie that he was seeing shooting, but
yeah, well, I was hoping you'd turn up today, but I think he might be edited in later.
all right, that's fine. You better tell me because I'm the editor. So anyway, this situation was great. It was Batman and Catwoman and the Riddler and the Joker, in a little small part, but the Riddler and the Penguin and the Mafia guy. I mean, there was all these great villains, and he just had to do some detecting, do some fighting, do some swings, and do some glider flying in one of those body glider suits that looked really cool, and base jumping and all of those parkour. I mean, he's super athletic. It's super fun to watch him fight and to watch him move around the city. And he has a cool car. It looks like a bit like the car. It's like an older style, but it's a modern update on an older style. Like the Supernatural, like Baby in the Supernatural series. And then there's bikes, and there was it was really great. It was quite fun, and the his detective work was really like the thing, and the fact that the commissioner kept letting him in and letting him look at the crime scenes and letting him look at the dead bodies and everything. And I mean, they did a really good job of showing the way Batman was a lot of years ago. Wasn't DC? Doesn't DC stand for Detective Comics? I do believe so. And so because of all of these little clues and all these parts, it really is interesting that they chose to show all of that in this Batman movie. And but it was really long. It was like almost 3 hours long, and it was really dark, and the acting was great, and the characterization was great, and the story was fun, and except for Robert Pattinson's accent, everything it was just absolutely normal. And I loved the what's his name, Falcone. Yeah, talk about like he's like a Corleone, or like a Gotti family or whatever. Not Gotti family, like anyway, like I don't know. I don't even know. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head the name of these crime families in New York, and I'm just like unable to do that. So that means that I spend enough time in church, and all that stuff was washed from my mind. But oh my gosh, like literally, like I've been obsessing over this other show called The Offer, and that is another one where the mafia played heavily into it. And this is very much Cosa Nostra. Don't mess with me. Mess with me, mess with the Penguin. You mess with me, you mess with Catwoman. You mess with me, you mess with everybody. Yeah. So that's my little New York accent, and my mafioso thing. But anyway, yeah. So low key obsessed with the mafia right now. So this movie kind of sank right into that morass right there, and I really liked it. So anyway, back over to you, Lee.
Thanking you. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect from this, because when it was first announced and the castings were announced, everybody was up in arms about Robert Pattinson being cast, because everybody just thinks he's that sexy looking vampire. But he has got a range of acting abilities. He really has. If you've seen some of the movies he's been in, especially The Lighthouse. Also, when it was announced that Colin Farrell was going to play the Penguin, you know, people was up in arms against that because he's not really a highly rated actor in his field. But what can you do with prosthetics and stuff like that? He's unrecognizable. And then you get Matt Reeves, the director, bringing in the story of this movie of year 2. So we don't see anything of year 1 of the Batman story. So say you don't have the origins, you don't have anything like that. You're just straight into action, which I think is a brilliant idea. Instead of going through all the death of the parents and stuff like that, becoming the Batman. Forget that. We've seen it loads and loads of times before. So that was a great idea of just getting rid of that. And as Susan said, it's you've got the mobsters, the Falcones, you've the Penguin, who's his like second in charge. We've got Zoe Kravitz as Selena Kyle, Catwoman. I was dubious about that casting to begin with, but she pulls it off. She is far, far superior than Hathaway in the other movie. Really is. Maybe on par with Michelle Pfeiffer. You never know. But as I say, I put Patterson up there now with Keaton. Just his performance. And then you get the Paul Dano as Edward Nashton. They're using the original Riddler name, Nashton, instead of Enigma. He's very, very. He's done this sort of character before. If you've ever seen the Prisoners movie, that's the sort of character he was playing in this. I thought it was brilliantly done, but for me personally, I just don't get the Riddler costume in this. Really don't. It really put me off at times when he was just there in his hood and tape, and
That's right. What you just said is right.
that to me that costume sucked big time. That if you want to do modernize it, yeah, okay, but at least have some resemblance to the Riddler. No, you can update it, but that to me just was not the Riddler the costume. The character, yes. I wasn't so keen on the serial killing side of it because it was coming across as the Zodiac killer, which a lot of people have said that, it does resemble this. And for me, in the comic books, in the movies or whatever, the Riddler was not a serial killer. He was the Prince of Puzzles, which he got the puzzles. But he was killing and killing and killing. I know you want to make it gritty. I know you want to make it dark, and it was dark. It was gritty, but don't change the character so much that it's unrecognizable for me personally. And it's good to see Gotham City dark, gothic, and gritty again, compared to the Nolan trilogy, which I couldn't stand. It was those trilogies were just, Gotham was just too clean, too shiny, too new. You've got to have a dark Gotham, in my opinion. I've got a lot of opinions today. And as Kevin mentioned about the music earlier, brilliant music. It was so reminiscent of the Burton movie at times, especially when Catwoman was there, because you've got I don't know if it's violin or whatever, the violin noise making sort of a cat noise, which they did in the Burton thing. So it was very harking back to that, which I really did enjoy. So I did enjoy the movie. It's, I say, 3 hours long. Was it too long? Or was it ideal length for you guys? What do you think?
Well, personally, I think it was a bit long.
Mm-hmm.
There was some slow bits in it, but
But do you
I
think
don't
they
know.
need?
I don't know if they could tell the story without this.
I mean,
See,
do
I
you
don't
think?
know.
Do you think that 3 hours for this was the ideal time to tell what they wanted to tell?
Let me have a think on that. I'll tell you later.
Okay. So, shall we go to favorite things or things you didn't like? Who wants to go? Go on then, Kevin.
I like the detective scenes. I was like, oh, it's very different. First one was, of course, the like best opening scene of a Batman movie. Like people being afraid of the darkness while there's literally nothing there at all. And the whole crowd in my theater was so silent, and yeah, the music was really making this scene. Yeah, how do you say it? Very exciting and dark. And when people saw the bat signal, they were like, I'm going home. Bye.
That's what I liked about it. As soon as the bat signal was up, it was a sign for the crooks to get off the streets.
Yeah.
In other movies, that never happened. That was just a sign for we need the Batman.
Yeah.
It was a sign to say you better get running because I'm coming.
Precisely. Also with the guy with the Halloween mask and then looking up in the sky gets almost run over by a cab
Yeah.
because he got scared. And also the use of Nirvana's music, something in the way. I was like, oh, that's nice. So and at the end, I like the scene when he's he's finally realizing that he doesn't need to be vengeance, he needs to be more. Then the girl grabs his hand and then he shuts his eyes and opens his eyes again, and then yeah, I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, Gotham looked like a shithole. Should be so.
That's how it should be. Yes.
And the scene with Alfred and Bruce. Alfred didn't have many screen time, but they probably be next time, I hope. But yeah, the first thing he said to him in the hospital, "You lied to me." Okay, yeah, a great way to start a conversation.
Yeah, you got a big thumbs up to Andy Serkis there.
Yeah, he really did bring his A game to it. And the fight scenes that resemble a lot of Arkham gameplay series. That was so recognizable.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's straight from the games.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I was watching it. I thought, do you know, you could just be playing a game here.
Precisely. It was so good. And the music when Batman is coming to the, when it's going black and the bullets are becoming the lightning, that was so cool to see. And also the music underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I enjoyed the heck out of it. But the ending scene featured some clown.
Well, if you've been online, you've seen the cut scenes.
Yeah, the deleted scene I've seen. I'm like, oh.
The deleted scenes. Yes, you know who it is.
I like who it was. I mean, the scene that's in the movie, it was like a little bit. I hope they don't use him for the next movie because Joker's like so overused.
Mm-hmm.
I hope they go for Mr. Freeze or.
Well, there is talk of Freeze, but I just don't know how they're going to do him justice. To be honest,
I'm not like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Get him back.
Yeah.
Okay, Susan.
Okay, some of my favorite scenes were I love the chase scenes. I love all I love how that car just exploded out from the explosion of the other vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really fun, and I really liked the romantic scenes between Catwoman and Batman. That's the way it should be. You know, they should be attracted to each other. and there should be, the only thing that they should fear is the fact that she is never completely has her own, you know, personal dominion or whatever, her own autonomy. She's always connected to the underworld, and so therefore, you know, like some of these guys just think that they own her, and that's kind of the way Falcone, and it's kind of the way even the Penguin thought of her, you know, and that's it's not the way she was. She was. I really liked the way that Catwoman was played in the '60s TV show. I mean, where there was flirtation and proper sort of, you know, but she was always by herself, almost always by herself. And so I hope that she does, you know, break the ties and be her own person and stuff. And I also liked the scene in the restaurant, and I liked the scene. Let's see. Yeah, I too liked the music. Oh my gosh, I liked the use of Nirvana. That was really great. And I liked the way the commissioner was in the garden, you know, and all that lightning and stuff was around. I just thought that was really cool. And I mean, the commissioner was played so well. And yeah, so the fact that all the other cops were on the take, there was a lot of them that were on the take. That was pretty cool. Because like you notice that there was only ever the commissioner and the mayor of in the '60s in the '60s TV show. And that's really and the new mayor was great. And I did think that there were some points where, you know, I don't know. Anyway, there were some. It was sort of slow in places that wasn't like romantic slow, or it wasn't conversationally slow. It was just it was like all this hyperactivity would suddenly grind to a halt. And I know that that's sometimes like the way to get the timing down, but I just, you know, anyway, in my opinion. And yeah, and the Riddler was, I love the guy who played the Riddler, but I agree that that costume was a bit rubbish, you know.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be, you know, you're supposed to be able to see his whole face. You're supposed to see his energetic eyes at all times, and behind those glasses and that mask, you couldn't see his.
It was more like an SM.
Yeah, he was. It was a gimp costume in so many ways. Yeah, or you know, a little steampunk.
Yeah.
But definitely, yeah, definitely S&M feeling there. And but yeah, I thought that the Riddler needed to see his whole face, because he part of what shows you how stinking brilliant he is, you know, you can read it in his eyes. And if you can't see his eyes, if there's too much stuff in the way, how do you know that this is the clever one in the group? But anyway, so those are my only drawbacks, my only, and I did like a lot of the movie. I loved all the action. I loved it. It was so great. and I loved how it was. They used lights so well. Like they'd light the part that was energetic, but the rest of it was in shadow. And that was really a new thing, you know. I mean, even when there were shadows and light in Burton stuff, there was like it was always so much light, and then like in the Nolan series, it was all so much dark, and it was so everything was monochrome, everything was gray, black, or white, and in this one there were these bright reds, there were greens, there were sparkly lightning stuff. Anyway, there's all these different colors, and they'd light it, and then they move the light kind of along the, especially like in that one. Anyway, that was, yeah. So anyway, those are my bits. Back over to you, Lee.
Thank you. Where to start? Yeah, the action was brilliant. I thought Patterson just fit so well into the role. The bat suit he became the Batman for me straight away. Yeah, we've mentioned the Riddler costume. Take that costume away, the performance from Paul Dano was brilliantly done. I agree with what Susan says. You need to see the intellect of the Riddler. Hopefully,
Am I right? Right?
Yeah. Hopefully, if and when he returns in a movie, they may sort of give him the beginnings of his costume.
Rip all this shit off.
Yeah, Andy Serkis, brilliant as Alfred. I was dubious about him playing Alfred, because usually he plays the weird, crazy bad guys. But no,
Yes.
he was playing a good guy. Also, I don't know if you noticed, it was good, a little brief cameo, a couple of cameos by one person, Sandra Dickinson.
Oh, nice. I didn't notice that, but oh yes, I did. Oh, now I know. Oh my gosh. She's the wife of Peter Davison.
Ex-wife, of course.
Ex-wife, yeah. Anyway.
George's mother. Yeah, she played Dory, the housekeeper of Bruce Wayne.
Oh, right.
You saw her a couple of times in the movie, and I was sat there, I was thinking, that's Sandra Dickinson. So I went on Google to look the cat. Yeah, and it was. But, yeah, it's all in all, I enjoyed it. It's for me, it's brought Batman back from what Nolan had done to it, because I know some people absolutely love the Nolan trilogy, but I just thought it was a waste of time, those three, to be honest. Yes, we know about the cameo, well, the brief cameo at the end in the Arkham Hospital with the cellmate talking to the Riddler. We know who it is. It's the Joker. We know it is. And as Kevin says, hopefully they're not going to go down the Joker route for the next movie, because overdone, overblown. Let's do some new stuff. Bring Freezing or Killer Croc or Clayface is, how they would do
or
that in
King Tut, for crying out loud.
King Tut was made just for the TV series.
Oh.
It was never really in the comics.
All right. Sorry.
But you never know. They might go down that route.
They can do the Court of Owls.
The Court of Owls. Yeah. Well,
there are hints probably in there.
There are hints that might be the next. Court of Owls is going to be the next one. But for the Court of Owls, you do need a more. Yeah, you need a singular villain. And I thought there was a bit of a in some of the flashbacks of the what the Riddler was explaining of the sins of the fathers, has got to do with the Court of Owls. Also, we said about Hush when it came up on the screen, Hush. I'm thinking, are they sort of
Hinting.
hinting of the next one? So Hush is a good villain that can have, but we shall see.
People were still, complaining about the Bruce Wayne presence not being there. Yeah, well, he was still Batman all the time, and he didn't have to.
You know what?
The balance.
I enjoyed it more that Bruce Wayne character was not in it much. Because all the movies in the past, it's all been about the brooding Bruce Wayne sulking about in his mansion. Then the Batman bit, then back to Bruce Wayne. This one, it was mainly, I would say, 90% Batman.
Yeah.
And I think it worked so well.
That's for sure.
We all know the history of Bruce Wayne. We all know what happened to his family. You don't have to go through all that again. Just get into the action. Get the Batman into the action.
I know we're not in this. We're not watching Batman for a lot of when it's you're getting therapy, but it's through somebody else. What the heck? I've lost a word. Sorry.
But it's right though. I mean, we all know people who watch this movie, any Batman movie, knows who Bruce Wayne is, knows his past, knows his history. We don't need to sit through all that. Just get the cowl on, get in the Batmobile, and sort the villains out. That's what you've come to see. So, and this is what the movie did, which I'm so glad they did. So,
Still going to buy it though.
So, anything else you'd like to say about the Batman?
Oh, it was fantastic. That's about it, I guess. Can't wait for the sequel and the HBO series about Penguin.
Yeah, so we've got to assume that Penguin won't be in another movie.
I guess not. Or they building up to another movie.
I just have to say, seeing Peter Sarsgaard as the district attorney and what all happened to him, that was amazing. I mean, it was brutal, but he was so good at just being crazy. It was awesome.
Yeah, that scene was nerve-wracking, especially with goodbye. I was like,
oh my gosh. Yeah.
But shall we assume that Gotham needs a new district attorney?
Yes.
Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent?
Yeah.
Do you think that's next time?
Wonderful. Yeah.
We shall see. Anything else before we move on to final scene, Scott? No.
No. Maybe a little bit of I just want to also reiterate how completely unrecognizable Colin was as Oz as the Penguin.
Yeah, I was worried about that because I don't really rate him as a good actor. Sorry, Colin. I know you won't watch these things, but I'm sorry, Colin. But as you say, you just couldn't see who that guy was. He just totally changed character.
Yep.
He definitely did.
And luckily, he wasn't in it as much, so he didn't steal the screen or anything like that. He did have his umbrella, so we did get the Penguin with his umbrella, and we sort of got the Penguin with his shuffle when he was tied up.
Yeah.
shuffling away.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you though. When the Batman was down near the end, and you thought, "Oh my God, he's not going to get up on this." When he was up on the gangway above the thing, he injected himself. Question is, was that Venom? That's the drug what Bane takes.
What could be just adrenaline?
Really. I'd like to think it was Venom.
Yeah, that would be cool.
If that's the case, Bane happened in year one.
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
But if it was Venom, because as soon as he injected himself, he was up there. He was like a mean motherfucker, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So did he inject Venom, or was it just adrenaline?
Or maybe you just put, it was like, yeah, adrenaline doesn't have a cool color. Let's add some green to it. Yeah.
That's what I mean, green, like Venom.
That would be cool, but I can't wait to.
But Venom, isn't Venom a symbiote, not a?
No, that's Marvel.
The Marvel different universe. But yeah, there's Venom that Bane uses in the comics, where he gets very big and.
Venom. Bane uses this drug to pump.
Oh, you're right. It is Marvel. Oh my gosh, sorry.
Yeah, it's like a steroid drug. He just pumps him up and makes him big.
Cool.
So I'm hoping it was Venom, but there we go.
I hope too.
It's just the name what DC use and Marvel have used. There again, DC and Marvel have used lots of names.
Yep.
So right then, shall we go to final send score?
Yes.
Go on then, Kevin.
Oh, this movie is going to get a 9.5 out of 10.
Wow.
It was a dark movie for sure. Great cinematography. So,
Good.
Hard word. And yeah, they used technology from The Mandalorian for this movie with a bunch of OLEDs. So sometimes you didn't even know it was real or not. But yeah, one of my favorite scenes in this whole movie was the Batmobile chase.
So were they in that round building that they used to create the external scenery?
Yeah, some of the shots they did, yeah.
Oh wow!
I didn't even notice. I was like, oh, it's on location and everything.
I'm assuming it mostly was when he was up in the building, looking out on the landscape of the city in daylight. I bet that was when it wasn't.
It was real, yeah.
Mm.
Oh well. So yeah.
Right, over to you.
Yeah, I just saw a whole thing on that technology, and that sort of like it's kind of a visual throwback to the huge blue screens of the past, but this is an all-encompassing environment creation. So yeah, that would have been something else. I also liked the depth that they went with his solitude at this point. It's kind of like a setup for everybody else to kind of pull at him, and so that was really great. That it was only Alfred and him, and Alfred was man, he nailed it. That fatherly love and that overprotection, really, in a way. I mean, how could you overprotect the Batman? But anyway, yeah, that was great.
Alfred is the only person who could overprotect Batman.
Exactly, and I'm looking forward to this being more. I don't know, maybe centered on one villain instead of sort of like the whole underworld look. But at least they got the Cosa Nostra in there. It'll be okay. Because if you mess with Falcone, you mess with the Penguin. If you mess with the Falcone, you mess with all of his thugs. It's the way it goes. Anyway, yeah. And so I'll give it 9 fat wires out of 10.
Cool. Yeah, it's an enjoyable movie. It's a fresh take on it. I love the way they use his detective skills in this, because this is what Batman started out as the greatest detective. So having him use all them skills for figuring out the riddles and stuff like that and the puzzles was amazing. Also, a little twist at the end was the Riddler knew who Batman was. All along, he knew he was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And while he was in the hospital, he was stating Bruce Wayne this, Bruce Wayne that. But Batman wasn't saying a word to clarify that because he was on camera.
Nope.
So we've got one villain locked up who knows the true identity.
Yeah.
Which we got that in the other Batman movie, Batman Forever, with Jim Carrey. The Riddler, found out the Bruce Wayne's identity, Batman's identity.
That's right. He did, didn't he? Yeah.
So
that's why I think that you got to see the intellect and the sheer brightness and brilliance in his eyes. You can't cover it up with a bunch of goggles and masks and things. You need his face. You need to see this at least. Oh my God.
So for me, I enjoyed it. Apart from the little niggles here and there, I'm still going to give it 10.
Oh my gosh. I'm the low one today.
The positives outweigh.
Someone's being humble today.
The positives outweigh the little negatives for me. So I couldn't really care less about the negative of it because the story and the adventure and the action was just amazing for me. So I'm going to give it 10 Gothamites out of 10. So
great.
So I'm hoping, this is where I'll say, I'm hoping our friend Ethan will join us in the edit round about here. So I won't go on with the bump, but if he doesn't join us, don't matter. You can all join us if you want to. We're all on social media and everything like that. If he does join us and we put him in the edit, I'll go through all that at the end of his section. So we'll be seeing you all later.